In Year 3, the children learn a written method for subtracting a 3-digit number by a 3-digit number. So, for example, 425 subtract 213. The method we use is the partitioning method, which involves splitting each number up into hundreds, tens and ones, like this. We encourage the children just to put an H, a T and an O so they can see where the values are going. So 425 is split into 420 and 5, and then we've got 200, a 10 and a 3. We insert the symbol to show which calculation we're doing and a nice straight line to separate the calculation from the answer. Always starting with the ones. So we've got 5 and we want to subtract 3 from that 5, so we get an answer of 2 there. Moving on to the tens, we've got 20 and we want to subtract 10, so we're left with 10. And then 400 subtract 200, we're left with 200. And we put these final values back together, and for this calculation we get a final answer of 212. Okay, when we work with harder numbers, so for example we might have 643 subtract 219. So again we follow the same method, which is the partitioning method. And we split into our hundreds and tens and ones values for each 3-digit number. Symbol to show what we are doing, and then a straight line to separate the calculation from the answer. Again, starting at the ones. So we've got 3 and we want to subtract 9. Now obviously if we've only got a value of 3, we can't subtract 9 from it. So what we need to do is we need to exchange a 10. So from this 40 here, I'm going to cross the 40 out and I'm going to exchange a 10 over to sit near that 3. Now because I've taken a 10 from that 40, we now need to replace that with a 30. And over here now, the 10 and the 3 are added together and this makes 13. So now we've got 13, we can subtract that 9. We end up with 4. Moving to the tens, we've got 30 and we want to subtract 10. We've got enough to do that, so 30 subtract a 10 leaves us with 20. And then 600 subtract 200, we are left with 400. And again we put the values back together and we get a final answer of 424. Okay, and then just an example of another calculation. If it gets a little bit harder, we might have to sometimes exchange hundreds. So for example, we would have 372 and we want to subtract 197. So we partition each 3-digit number into its hundreds, tens and ones values like we did on the other two calculations. Our symbol and our separating line. So again, starting with the ones. So we want to do 2 and we want to subtract 7 from that, but obviously we can't do that, so we need to exchange a 10 from this 70. Cross that out. Let's give that to a 10 to make that now 12, and this now becomes 60. So going back to the ones, if we've got 12, we can now take 7 away, so we are left with 5. We're moving to the tens column. We've now got 60, take away 90. If we've got 60, we can't take away 90. So what we need to do is exchange 100 in this case. We'll go over to this 300, cross it off. We're going to give 100 now to these tens, and it's going to be with that 60. So we've now made 160 there. Because we've exchanged 100, this now becomes 200. Okay, just going back to the 10. So we've now got that 160 sitting at the top. We've combined those two together. We've got 160 and we want to take 90 away. We can do that now and we're left with 70. And then on to the hundreds. 200 take away 100 leaves us with 100. We put these values back together and we get a final answer for this calculation of 175.